I got an extra pen.
Oh, of course, Dan. Here you go, Dan. Don't take my floaty.
You want him to take this one?
Was there,
Yeah, let me let you
what's
have
yours?
that one instead. Give me back my floaty.
I want the one with the girl in the bikini floating on the water. Is that the that
Oh
is?
boy.
No, no, these are young blue men with a ball on top of their head.
There.
See?
Syracuse.
Okay.
Got me excited.
All right,
I know,
it's
I know
5:30. Welcome to the November 7th meeting of the Citizen Review Board. I'm Peter McCarthy, the board chair. I'm calling the meeting to order. I hope everybody has an agenda if they want one. So we will start with approval of October meeting minutes. Everybody get a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Cliff, motion, second.
I second.
May, second. Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Chairperson's report. I would like, well, there's a couple details here. The attendance and participation requirements, and the annual board training. We'll come back to the board training under board development. There's a couple things that I'd like to finish up by the end of the year, and I want to ask for 2 volunteers to help me with it. One is so we can bring some documents back to this group to approve final versions of. We approved the written version of the attendance and participation requirements. I want to turn that into a form for everybody to sign at the first January meeting. So that's document number 1. Document number 2 is whether or not there are any changes in board members. It'll be time to print a new brochure. And I sent around a couple months ago suggestions for the content of the new brochure. Basically, I took stuff that we had written, Annette and I had done and presented in a PowerPoint a couple times, an overview of the CRB. So it's more like an overview than the current brochure, which is basically an excerpt from the bylaw, from the ordinance. So I would like a couple volunteers to look at that, go over it, make any suggestions so we can bring that to the board and then be ready to have it printed.
You sent an email out?
Sorry?
You said you sent an email?
I'm sorry.
Did you send an email?
I think I sent an earlier version of it, but what I'm asking for is instead of asking everybody for input, I'd like 2 people to commit to getting back to me, and we could exchange some emails or make a phone call or whatever, just so I know who I'm asking for opinions.
All right,
So-
I'll volunteer for it.
Okay.
I'll
You
volunteer
got
for it.
Cliff and Dana? Great, thank you. That way we can do some of that ahead of bringing those things to a meeting for final. And the third one is, I want to look at our committee structure. A couple of years ago, a board member who's no longer here had submitted some suggestions for revising our committee structures. And I'd like to look at that and see if we want to bring any proposal to the board for revising.
Could you define committee structure for me?
So we have the 4 committees that are listed here: community outreach, board development, government relations, and police relations. There might even be one other listed in bylaws. Do you remember? I think
There's a few.
might be something else. So we should look at what's in the bylaws, see if we're doing it, see if this is working, see if we need any changes. And as I said, a board member a couple of years ago did make some suggestions for revising that. So I'd like to look at that, and what I'd like to do is look at it with the same small group of 2 people and just come to the board and say, this is what we think, rather than just throw it open.
I'll volunteer for that. I'll volunteer for that.
Okay. Okay, term expirations, Cliff, you are going to check, is there anyone else whose term is expiring who has not yet checked with whoever appointed them? Mary, you have, right?
I second.
Lori, you're not expiring. That was an error, I think, in the old chart. Cynthia, do you know if that's the other one? Do we know if we heard from Cynthia?
Yeah, she's unavailable for tonight's meeting, and I'll touch base with her about, whether she's renewing or not.
Okay. And Priscilla responded and May responded, I think, right?
Yep.
You're all set?
No, I haven't checked yet with mine.
You have, okay. Because
Have to.
you were filling a term, you started in March, but you were filling a term. So you should check, is it, who's second district counselor?
It's gonna be now Pat Hogan now.
Oh,
I'll reach out to Pat Hogan. Well, actually, that won't be till January.
Yeah, it's,
Pat Hogan is the second district right now.
right, I'm
That's
just thinking when. it
Chad
would-
Ryan.
that's,
Chad Ryan was the second district, and so Pat Hogan will begin in January.
Maybe
So,
we should check with Pat Hogan.
yeah, we'll have to chat
You
with,
want to do that?
yeah, I'll chat with Pat Hogan.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Someone expressed interest in joining the review board.
You have to send their resume, and a cover letter.
To who?
They can send it to me.
Okay.
And they, would they be an at-large? Would they be a district? Which one would they be?
I think it would be an at-large.
Okay, so yeah, they need to send that, and then once they send that to me, I forward it on to the at-large common counselors, let them know that somebody is interested,
Okay,
and that's kind of how we move from there.
okay.
After I have a conversation, explain the, but I still forward it over to the common counselors regardless of me having a conversation with them,
Absolutely.
okay?
Okay, I've been in contact with our committee we designated for our administrator evaluation. We have a meeting scheduled for next week. I've asked people to look at the evaluation form and bring a completed draft version of that form to the meeting, so that's on schedule to happen.
Could you send
Did
me
you
one?
receive,
Am
Cynthia,
I on that committee?
on
No.
which committee?
You were on last year, I think. Maybe not.
Dan was on
Anyway,
last
yeah.
year's.
Yeah.
Cynthia stated that she advised us about her appointment, so check your email. Check your
Okay.
emails for Cynthia.
Peter, could you send me a blank evaluation form?
Sorry?
please? Could you send me a blank evaluation form, please?
I did. You want another one?
Oh, I didn't get it. Well, I might have got
You
it.
don't
I'll let you know if I
It
don't.
should have been attached when it said that the meeting is next
Really
Tuesday,
very possible
whenever,
that
but
it
I will
was, so
send another one.
check and let you know
Cliff, do you recall getting one?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did.
with attachment sometimes.
Okay, that's all I have for chairperson's report.
Okay, as you, in your folders, you will see the activity report. So far, we are up to, sorry. So far, we are up to 83 cases, for the year. I'm sorry. Yeah, 82 cases, I'm sorry, for the year. So far, 2019. We received 6 cases in the month of October. So we are continuing to investigate cases from 2018, 2019, and 2017 when they are coming. The board is going to review 5 cases in executive session that range between 2018 cases and 2019 cases. The monthly financial report, you'll see, it should be in green paper. In your folders, you'll see where we are with regard to the finances for the board. With regard to the $5,000 grant from JAG, there still are some things that need to be worked out with regard to that grant, so it is not available for us to use as of yet. So as soon as it becomes available, we will be able to use it, but it's not anything that we need to do with some other things that the grant department has to get together to provide to JAG before it's utilized.
This doesn't mean that we're gonna lose it, it just means.
No, it just
okay.
means there's just stuff that they have to still get done, so I just want to
Okay.
make sure you are aware. And that's not ever going to appear on this budget sheet, that's going to be additional, so I don't want you to think that it's not there for a reason. It won't show up on this, because these are basically the operating accounts that we run out of.
Will that be a separate account?
That will be a separate account with separate documents to do all of that kind of stuff, okay?
Because I
And-
was looking for it.
Yeah, yep, so I wanted to make sure you guys knew that. The 2019 third quarter report will be completed before the end of this month and uploaded to the website. The first and the second quarter are already up there. And I'll talk about some other stuff that is going to be on the horizon and things that we need to pay attention to with regard to the upcoming Common Council meeting. When we talk about, I guess that's considered police relations. We'll discuss that at that point in time. That's all I have currently. And I'll talk about the other meetings we have coming up further down.
Attorney to introduce himself at this point?
He would introduce himself under new business.
Okay. Committee reports, community outreach, and public education.
All right, so yesterday, I did a presentation to Helio Health, and Lori appeared. Lori came to the meeting with us. There was probably about 15 people that were there from their recovery center, that we had the opportunity to talk about what the CRB is, some information with regard to their rights and things of that nature. They were interested. They asked a lot of questions. The director there stated that the presentation was good and she appreciated us coming. We got a chance to meet up with Helio Health at Cliff's group event that he had at Salt Space, was it? We got a chance to meet them there. So we had a chance to reach out to those people. We have an SPD forum coming up on the 12th of this month. It's going to be in the atrium. I intend to have a table there at the atrium so that we can pass out information with regard to the board. We have a presentation in the north side at its TNT coming up on November 27th. That gives us an opportunity to speak to the residents on the north side. So
where will that be held?
It's let me let you know the exact location. I'll send an email as to the location.
Is that the only one we plan on doing for this year?
No, we've done TNTs throughout. We did the west side last month.
Okay.
We did the valley already. We had to reschedule the one that's on the east side because they had something else to come up that they needed to talk to. So we'll be talking to the east side on the early next year, because they tend to not have TNT meetings in December because of the holidays and things of that nature. So we'll pick back up, but yes, we've done both of those sections. I'm trying to think if there was something else.
Yep,
that's it.
Okay, board development and training. We're planning on a Saturday in March for our training date. I need to hear from one board member who's not here about dates available. So far, I'm going to make a couple phone calls to people to see how tight their schedule is, because right now we don't have a date that everybody says they can make.
What dates do you have?
I know one was St. Patrick's Day, and then the other one was the last Saturday in March, I believe.
Right, the
And-
14th and the 21st, and some people can't make the 14th, or 28th rather, I'm sorry.
The 14th and the 28th.
28th?
Yeah, I know the 14th is St. Patty's Day, so that presents a little bit of an issue. Our Bob Stewart, if we wanted him to come to the event, the training day, he said that he could, and we needed to let him know whether we wanted him to do an hour's presentation or a half hour's presentation.
A day or a half day?
It was a day or a half day.
Full day.
And we need to know whether or not, because it costs money. So we need to vote as a board how much, I can't remember how much it was.
We have to pay for that?
We would have to pay for him to come to the training. So that's why I really want to make sure, I want you to know. We do have some money that we usually use for outreach and things of that nature, that I think that might be contract services, it might be, or it would be out of the same money that we spent for the advertising, I think, for the signs, so we would have money.
Wouldn't be under advertising?
No, it's a certain fund that several things fall under, not just advertising. I'm just saying it might be in that budget line where we have some more
Professional
funds.
services, maybe?
Yeah, that's why I said I think it's under contract and professional services.
Okay.
For him to come, I think it was $1,000 or, I can't remember the
Bernard,
exact amount.
Would you do me a favor and send me an email and tell me how many accounts we have and what the accounts are used for? Or is
You
that-
have them right there,
Yeah,
right there.
That's it.
Up the page.
That, and then you break down the pages,
Yep.
Oh, okay.
and that breaks
Thank
down
you.
everything.
And on that side.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll talk to Renee, we'll try to get the last board member or two to give dates, and Bob has said he could do the 14th or 21st, and it looks like you got one person that can't do the 14th, and another person that can't do the 21st, so I'll make
Okay.
some phone calls and try to...
All right, yeah, let's try to narrow that down as soon as possible, but
just,
we wouldn't have to pay travel costs for him because he would already be in,
On those dates.
on those dates, he would
14th or
already
21st.
be in the
Okay.
city of Syracuse or in New
Okay.
York State, so
Do
we
you remember
wouldn't have to.
Bob came and spoke to us about this?
Absolutely.
So I was impressed.
Absolutely.
I thought he was very knowledgeable and would be worth, a half-day training.
Yes, sir. I think
Feel
with
okay
everything
about
he
that?
has to train us with everything he has to inform us of, that a full day
Yeah.
would be,
They came here because of the tea.
Yes.
Oh, yes, he was very interesting, very nice.
yeah, he's very good, definitely.
Yep, so that gentleman, Hatisha mentioned to try to reach out to him and see if he would be available. And then I thought everybody, felt that his presentation was good, his
Yeah.
conversation, so,
Yeah, he was fascinating.
yep. So, we'll narrow that down and have more information in December's meeting because it still wouldn't come out until closer to the March date anyways, but we need to make sure we have the right date before we do anything.
Right.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can we use the 5,000 money for that, for the grant?
That's what I'm hoping, that we may be able to utilize it out of that because it says training and travel related training. And he would be considered to be a presenter for training. So I'm hoping that we can use it out of that. But again, they have a few things that they still need to work out
Did
on.
we give back any money last year?
Absolutely.
We shouldn't be doing that.
I agree.
So let's utilize it, and definitely, what the gentleman, what's his name, Mr. Johnson?
Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Stewart, is bringing to the table is very valuable training for us.
I agree.
It's going to enhance everything that we've already learned, and take us to another level, in that regard, so.
And there's a couple of other trainings that we'll talk about as they come up on the horizon that we'll be able to utilize as well. Once I get the dates and things, I'll put them out there for us to be able to learn as a board some other things outside of just our one-day training that I think is beneficial for us all the way around. I try to send you out emails from the Dago Law Group and anywhere else with regard to the current court cases that are going on around the country with regard to certain things. But then there's also some other face-to-face things that happen here locally that we should try to get to that will assist us as well.
I thought the training sessions at Tisha's place were...
That's
I
our
thought
one
they
day.
were worthwhile, so if we could do that sort of thing again.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Peter Wilner recently.
Is that
from-
the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
From Interfaith Works. I was
So
calling
have I.
about referring another agency to him. And he said, do we want to get back together at some point? And I said, yeah, I think it's worth having you come back and, again, focus on our meeting process and how effective we are and how well we work together.
Does it go beyond what we've already done? I mean, do they have a continuation of...
My sense from a brief conversation with him about it was that what he would do is ask us to do some reflection on how things are going related to what we talked about, and if there are things we need to get better at.
Okay.
Could use some help with that.
I think we improved a
Conceivably,
lot.
that could fit in if we did, say, 3 hours with Bob Stewart plus an hour and a half with Peter Wilner, they could fill up that Saturday, so
Yeah.
that's an option. As soon as we can nail down a date, we'll try to do that, so
Okay.
I'll get on the phone and try to get that date finalized, and I hope we can work it out so everybody can make it. Okay, government relations?
So, as you can see on the calendar, we have a CRB, SPD, Mayor's Office, our attorney, Corporation Council meeting coming up on November the 20th at 3:30 p.m. At that time, we are going to discuss the memorandum that I provided to everyone last meeting that has to do with what Corporation Council advises that we should be receiving from the Office of Professional Standards, and also what our attorney advises we should be receiving from the Office of Professional Standards. Today, I received an email from Steve Thompson. And in that email, it was a proposed amendment to the CRB legislation that he would like to appear on the next Common Council session. And the Common Council session is going to be on, the study session will be on, the study session is on November the 13th, and the meeting is going to be held on November the 18th. November the 18th is when they vote. November the 13th is when they discuss, they have a discussion with regard to things. So this legislation has to do with the fact of, I'm going to pass everybody a copy around of his proposed legislation. And we need to make sure that our voices are heard. We're asking the public to make sure that their voices are heard with regard to this amendment that he is proposing, which has to do with whether or not the CRB's decisions, opinions, and recommendations should be looked at during court cases. So when a person files a suit against the city of Syracuse with regard to a notice of claim, and they may have filed a complaint with the CRB, or they may have inquired about cases that were heard before the CRB related to those charges, whether or not the judge can look at those cases and allow them into the litigation case. Now, when those cases occur, the judge has the final say as to what he is going to review in a particular case. They review things in what's called in-camera review, but the judge makes the final decision. So with that being said, I'm almost trying to figure out the reason for this proposed in legislation when the judge is going to make the final decision, and no matter what the legislation says, the judge makes the ultimate decision. So in that meeting on November the 20th, I guess the powers that be will discuss this amendment to the legislation, and we will have time to interact as a group, but the meeting will have already taken place by then.
The council meeting?
The Common Council meeting is November the 13th, and the session for which they will vote on that would take place before the November 20th meeting. So
Maybe not.
What time is that
I think
We
meeting?
we
better
have
go to
some
the
say on
common
this.
council meeting then.
So as you can see, there is a letter to John Capanis, who is the city clerk, requesting an amendment to the law. It is going to be scheduled again, November 13th. It would appear on the agenda, and at that point in time, everybody has the opportunity to voice their concerns with regard to this change in legislation.
Absolutely,
Okay?
absolutely.
So it is imperative.
Public.
It is a open public
This
meeting,
is a
just
study
like
session on the 13th?
it is, but it is the meeting in which everybody comes up and they make comments with regard to what is on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay? So this is going to be on the agenda for November the 13th at the study session. So I would,
What time does it? Sorry?
usually at noon.
12
so, say that again?
12 o'clock?
Yes. So I would say, yes, live streamed and everything. So I would suggest that we get ourselves here on November the 13th at 12 o'clock and voice your concerns with regard to this potential amendment to the CRB legislation.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Why would a proposed amendment to the CRB ordinance not have to go to the Public Safety Committee before it goes to the Common Council? I would expect the Public Safety Committee to review any amendment that a member of that committee, which Counselor Thompson is, would want to propose. I can't imagine why one person could bring a significant amendment to an ordinance right to the council when there's a committee.
So I would suggest that you reach out to your common counselor. I would suggest that you reach out to the people that are on the Public Safety Committee and request that they request a open public meeting of the Public Safety Committee to discuss this new amended legislation proposal.
I think that's an excellent suggestion.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the current members are Thompson,
Counselor Driscoll, Counselor Allen, Counselor Rudd, and President Hudson is always on each.
She's chair of it, right?
No, Steve Thompson is chair.
There's the chair, but the chair of the president of the Common Council
Is always on
is
it.
a member of all committees. So
And is Michael Green on there?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's just Thompson, Rudd, Allen, Driscoll, and then President Hudson. Okay? So you have some time to reach out to those members of the Common Council and voice your concerns. Okay? I asked Counselor Thompson to come to this meeting tonight and discuss this with you himself, and he was unavailable. So he requested that I present this to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay?
We're not-
You're welcome. Next.
Police relations, anything?
Oh, sorry, before we move to that committee report, this letter, the letter has not gone out. I intended to wait for said letter till after, because as you know, we made some changes to the letter to include some of the requests the CRB still had. And based on those requests were supposed to be discussed at our upcoming meeting on November the 20th. So I thought that it behooved us to wait until after that November 20th meeting and the results of that meeting before we released any letter. And so as of right now, no letter has been produced to be circulated. No letter has been provided to the mayor's office. I have circulated the letter to everybody that we talked about circulating it to, but nothing has been sent as final. So the letter has not. Okay? Just so we know.
Brenda, before you move forward, have any of the Common Council seen this letter?
I don't know.
For me to have my conversation with,
You can show them the letter. I have additional copies if you'd like to provide them with a personal copy of it. I can provide you with that as well, so that then you have something. But as of right now, that's what we have.
Just a different question.
Yes.
The meeting with the government relations meeting on the 20th, is that here?
Yes, it's in the mayor's office and his conference room. So our attorney, Ryan Souser, will be there, Corporation Counsel will be there, Counselor Driscoll intends to be there, Steve Thompson will be there, and I want to say that Counselor Rudd may attempt to be there. I think it somewhere falls along the lines, but we have reached out to other members of the Public Safety Committee to ask that they attend.
Is that open to the roster of the public?
It's not open to the public. Lori was going to be there. I mean, everybody that pretty much is on the Government Relations Committee is invited to attend. I do believe, Dan, that you've been in conversation with us with regard to several things, so I thought that you would attend.
Well, I'm on the police liaison committee, but it's not the governmental committee.
Correct, but I think that if you wanted to attend that meeting, I know Lori's coming to the meeting. I think Dana's coming because she's on that committee.
Okay.
But we do have
What date is that? That's the 13th?
no, it's November the 20th.
At 3:30.
And is the primary purpose of that meeting?
It's going to be to discuss
Finalize.
everything.
The meeting to discuss everything.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, thank you. Okay. Police Liaison Committee, we're up to that?
Yeah, so the Police Liaison Committee, Dan, is going to have a meeting on December the 12th at 9 o'clock. So all those members of the Police Liaison Committee, I think that's Lori, Hatisha, Dana, Peter, myself, will attend that. Hatisha has been coming to the other meetings as well that we have been having with a mixture of government relations, police relations, everybody relations. We've been trying to get it together.
Like, no, that's...
Yes, in the little conference room or in the chief's office, yes. So that is coming up on December the 12th, so please mark your calendars accordingly. Before that December the 12th meeting, we are scheduled to give a presentation to the new recruits for the police department. It's scheduled for December the 6th at 8:30 in the morning, I believe, 8 o'clock or 8:30. So
I was wrong yesterday, so I could be wrong.
yeah. We'll be doing that as well. Okay. But since it's not, it will be right after our meeting.
8 a.m. Can you?
I believe it's 8
confirm
a.m.
the time?
I think it's 8 a.m. That's why I said it's either 8 or 8:30. I know it's not 9.
To the academy, right?
Yes, to the new recruits. So the newest officers on the street.
And that's what date?
December the 6th. Because it'll be right after our board meeting. I'll just be coming back from the Use of Force Summit
December 6th, write it in.
out of Connecticut.
Do they do the training
time?
at the police department, or
She's
do they
gonna
do it
send
up
you
on
the 8
Onondaga?
a.m.
I was told it was going to be at PSB in that kind of like that room that we went to for the Civilian Academy, up there on that floor.
You do.
All right.
Anything else from any committees? Okay, we're on new business.
So our intern Julius Gill is here, and he can, if he doesn't mind standing up and waving or coming up to the mic to introduce himself. He sent you out several emails with a survey that he drafted with regard to the CRB, Know Your Rights, and May Carter for the board took the survey out to early voting for us and got a few signatures, and we'll still be looking to do that throughout the year. But Julius.
Hi. Excuse me. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Julius Gill. I am a political science major at the Syracuse University's College of Arts and Sciences. I am a native of New Brunswick, New Jersey. However, I have lived in upstate New York for a long time. First, after leaving New Jersey, I lived in the South Side neighborhood of Syracuse. After that, in my teenage years, spent my time in Camillus. So that's a little bit of background about me. For my project for the CRB, I've been interning since September, and the project we worked on for this semester was developing a survey and also later on a follow-up quiz regarding the CRB. We had basically two major goals when conducting the survey. The first goal we had was to help people to understand their rights when confronted by the police or whenever they were stopped or arrested, what to do regarding that situation. The second priority we had was to get the people to understand about what the CRB is and what the job is that they do. So those were the two big important goals that we had when establishing this survey. Hopefully, I tried to send it to everyone that I could. I know a few people may not have gotten it. I don't know what happened with the emails and all of that, but basically, it was first you should have got believe the survey, the 5-question survey, and then it was the small little quiz that we gave you about a few weeks later. So that's what we were working on for the CRB, and that's the project we had.
That's good.
It was you said you sent the survey to all the board members?
And it meant to. I knew some had. I think Ms. Relaford had basically said some were not able to get it or retrieve it, but hopefully we can fix that as soon as we can.
So we did not make this survey public because when you put it out there in the universe, is out there.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't know who can trail in what was the responses and things of that nature. So we've done a paper version, and we will continue to do things like that throughout the year, even when Julius is done with his intern, to continue to gather information as to how we can and where we should better focus our presentations on, and to, you know, meet the people where they are with regard to that. So thank you, Julius. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Okay. I think we can move on to public comment. Any members of the public have comments or questions for us?
You want to say something?
Okay.
Don't have any questions? or
Then
anything
we
you
will
wanna
take a
ask?
motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss cases and schedule our hearings. Would someone make a motion? Dan, make the motion.
I second.
Priscilla seconds it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move downstairs to our meeting room.
So now, we get ready
Thank you, everyone.
for executive session. Come to that one here.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody phoned that to me, and I'm very appreciative of it.
We won't get done till about, try and get out.
Stuff that doesn't have anything on the side.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and make the phone call back, and I'll meet you where we need to meet you at.
I have to go to the bar to talk to my car.
I went to see the play that Mattia was in.
Oh, how did you
It
like
was
it?
pretty
Oh, she had a
good.
play?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
It was an offshoot of Cinderella. It was a little gorier than